All right, let's dive into something pretty wild. We're going to be looking at a species that isn't just, part of the world. They're more like its operating system. So forget everything you think you know about biology, about flesh and bone. We're talking about beings made of pure frequency and light. Get ready to meet the Luma lineages. And the source material just nails it with this quote. If you think of the stone masters, the dwarves, as the ones who built the physical foundation of the world, well, the Luma lineages are something else entirely. They're the frequency. They're not the structure. They're the current that actually runs through it. They're the power. So here's the best way to think about it, the central metaphor for all of this. The dwarves, they're the silicon hardware. They manage the physical stuff, the foundation. But the Luma lineages, or, elves as they're sometimes called, they're the etheric software. They don't build the machine, no. They write the code that makes the whole thing run. They are literally the architects of the unseen energy that flows through, everything. Okay, so you're probably asking, how can a living being be software? It sounds crazy, I know, but it all starts with their biology, which is governed by this incredible, almost unbelievable concept, the code of immortality. First things first, just forget about food. The Luma lineages don't eat, not in any way we would recognize. They consume something called Luma, and it's described as a liquid light frequency. So instead of, digesting matter, they're sustained by absorbing pure energy. That's it. That's their life source. Now, a diet of pure light, that's going to have a pretty profound effect on you, right down to your DNA. While our human DNA is described in the source as a dull code, one that degrades and gets shaved down over time, the Luma lineages have what's called an unbroken code. It's constantly being recharged by that Luma, that full source light. And what that means is near perfect cellular regeneration. And the result of that unbroken code, the payoff for having cells that constantly repair themselves, a lifespan that isn't measured in decades, but in millennia. We're talking thousands and thousands of years, all powered by a direct line to that source of light. So, okay, let's just pause on that. You're a species that consumes light and lives for thousands of years. What in the world do you do with all that time? Well, you build. But you don't build with stone or steel. You build with frequency itself. This really becomes the central puzzle of their existence. If your whole purpose is to channel cosmic energy for an entire planet, you're not going to build a regular old building. You need something much, much bigger. You have to figure out how to build antennas that can reach the sun. And their solution is nothing short of cosmic engineering. It's a three-step process. First, those ancestral spires you hear about, they're not buildings. They are massive antennas. Second, those antennas act as a gigantic frequency funnel. They literally pull energy from this source called the Grand Central Sun. And finally, all that energy gets channeled and infused into the planet's own energetic rings, which keeps all of nature vibrant. I mean, we're talking about engineering on a truly planetary scale. You're probably seeing a pattern here, right? Their biology is based on light. Their technology is based on frequency, so it only makes sense that their communication would follow the same rules. They don't have a language of sound. They have a language of light. Now, to really wrap your head around this next part, you have to throw out your most basic ideas about what language even is. Just toss them, because they don't speak, they don't write, they do not use words at all. So what do they use instead? Geometry and color. Just try to imagine that. You don't hear their meaning, you see it in your mind's eye. A complex thought, an emotion, a command. It all gets transmitted directly to you as a complex shape, as a hue, as a pattern. There are no words to get wrong or misinterpret. It's just pure concept. And this isn't just some cool party trick, it's a massive strategic advantage. Apparently, this adversarial group called the Viper Nest absolutely hates them for it. And why? Because you can't intercept a telepathic signal with a digital glitch. I mean, think about it. How do you hack a signal that isn't digital? How can you possibly jam a frequency that is literally pure thought? It's completely sovereign. It's unhackable. Which brings us to this final, really mind-bending question. If a thought can be a weapon, if communication is that direct and that potent, what does a conversation even look like? What would an argument or a peace treaty or even a declaration of war, what would that actually feel like? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.